All right, Mora knife comparison video. I have here the Mora 511 basic craft line, a Mora craft line. I think it's also part of their craft line series, Mora Robust. Here's a Mora Mora Companion in carbon steel. All of these are in carbon steel. And here's a Mora Companion HD in carbon steel. I also have a Mora Companion in stainless steel you don't see here. But the thickness of that blade, the Mora Companion in stainless steel, is in between the Mora Companion Carbon and the Mora Companion Heavy Duty. So the Mora stainless steel is slightly thicker. The Mora Companion stainless steel is slightly thicker than the regular Mora Companion in carbon steel. And I think the reason is because of how the stainless steel needs to be ground, or the strength of it. They needed to make it a little bit more thick. Of all the Moras, my absolute favorite Mora, and the way I think the Mora should be, is this Mora Companion Regular in carbon. And the reason I like it the most, and I've had in the past a Mora Garberg stainless steel and a Mora Garberg carbon, which both I've sold, and I'll get into the reason about that later. But my favorite knife of all of them is this. Without a doubt, the Mora Companion Regular in carbon. So if I could go back and do it again, I probably would have just not purchased any of these and just got multiple Mora Companions in carbon. And it would have served the purpose for me where I use all these. And this stays in the garage as a rough use knife. For opening boxes. It's more robust, super thick. I got it on sale for I think less than $10. So I just bought it. This is the Mora Craftsline 511, super thin blade. I think it has the five. I'm checking right now. Yeah, I believe this 511 has the same blade thickness, maybe a touch thinner, but I think it has the same blade thickness as the Mora Companion, regular Companion. But it's a little bit too short. It's a little bit shorter, and they've changed the design now, but I really dislike this finger guard. Gets in the way. And I like that this is a little thicker, because even if you can see closely, after a handful of sharpenings, I've actually lost some. If you look closely, I've lost a little bit of width to not width, but like thickness to the blade. It's a little bit shorter than it used to be. And using this, I just like the length, and it's just a little bit more, gives me a little bit more confidence in using it than the 511. So I can go over and do it again. I would have kept this. Now, the reason I like this thickness for this type of grind is because when using a thicker blade with this type of grind, these shoulders, I feel like gets in the way. It's not super bad with the heavy duty, but once you get to a thicker, something thicker, like you think this Robust might be the same thickness actually. But once you get into the thickness of like a Mora Garberg, that shoulder really got in the way, and that's why I didn't like the Mora Garberg. How much ever the Mora Garberg cost, I would always either spend a little bit more or use that money and get a Falkneven F1 and VG10 over a Mora Garberg. And so that's why those went away. I never ended up replacing them with the VG10 Falkneven, because I have the Falkneven F1 in COS. And so if I ever needed a Garberg, I'd either step it down with the Mora Companion in stainless steel, or I would step it up with a Falkneven F1 and VG10. I think they're in VG10G now. But this Mora Robust, none of these are fixed blade or full tang knives. So the reason the Garberg was, or is still, but none of these are. So my opinion on it, if I ever need a knife that's this thick, I probably want it to be full tang, even though these are super strong. But that's just my personal opinion. And so if I actually need the knife to be this thick for it to be this durable, I'd probably just go to VG10 That's not true either, because this is a really cheap knife. So there is place for this, but not quite. Just not quite for me. I never use this more robust to the level that I need it to be this thick. So it is robust and it's nice and heavy duty, but for my uses, I never use this to pry. I never use it for that heavy work. But so for my purposes, if I would rather just in the place of this just had another Mora companion. And there's something to say about having multiple blades of the same one in different places because of the familiarity of how they feel and how they handle. They eventually, if you have the same tool in multiple locations, they eventually just become like an extension. So there's a little bit of difference in how this robust handles compared to the Mora companion in terms of weight and blade length. And this grind, this is so thick, the shoulder sometimes gets in the way. Whereas after multiple sharpenings and the use of this Mora companion, it almost handles like a concave blade because this is smoothed out with the grinds, and this straight flat grind is probably got ever so slight of a curve at the end. Not a second edge, but or second bevel, but a curve. And so, and plus the shoulders don't get in the way that much, especially down here from grinding because of how thin this blade is. And even then, I've seen some durability tests on this blade, and people have a lot of trouble breaking this blade in spite of it being so thin. And I think it has to go with a little bit of the flex that this thin blade allows, not to mention the Mora's heat treatment on these mass-produced knives. I think in Europe and Sweden, these are pretty much disposable knives. But the carbon's really easy to sharpen, but because of this thinness, it's still super, super, super durable because it'll just flex a little instead of cracking. And so that goes to say, it goes for the Mora heavy duty as well. Companion heavy duty. I never need this much thickness, and that's for my use. Somebody else may find it different, but anytime I would use this Mora heavy duty, I would much rather take the Mora companion heavy duty. Anytime I would ever want or need to use that, I would much rather just have the Mora companion regular version because of the thinness of the blade and the weight of it. I don't ever feel like, ooh, I wish this companion was the thicker. But I do, every time I use this, I was like, yeah, man, I wish this blade was a touch thinner. It would just be a little bit easier to handle. It was a little bit lighter. So for my uses, I would, instead of getting all these, I would have just bought the companions. With that said, the companion still goes for about $18. There's Mora companion and carbon goes for $18. That whatever I'm saying about I just rather bought another companion carbon also goes for the companion in stainless steel. I like the companion in stainless steel. I just feel like this carbon steel, the way this metal, the way it holds the edge, how sharp it gets, and how easy it is to resharpen, this companion in carbon, in my opinion, is superior to that companion in stainless steel. So I would replace, I mean, I'm not going to, but if I would go over and do it again, I would have just bought this Mora regular carbon companion over 4 times or as many times as I needed. Anytime I would have bought the heavy duty, the robust, the Mora companion in stainless steel, or this Mora Basics Craftline 511. Again, with that said, this is an $18 knife. I purchased this one for $7 or $8 or $9. I purchased this one for less than $10, and I paid the full price for this one. So the way I use this knife for the price, it got basically half the cost of this. You know, I use it so much, I probably would go retrospect. I should have just spent the double to get the companion because I like how this handles. But I'm still going to use this, and it was super cheap. So there you go. That's my opinion. I think this is one of the best knives ever made. So this coupled, this knife is Mora companion coupled with the Falk and even F1 in either VG10G or COS, just the design. I think these are the 2 knives I would ever need. And these are 2 excellent, well-designed killer knives. Interestingly, both came out of Sweden. This one's made in Sweden. The knife itself designed in Sweden on this F1. Falkniven F1, but made in Japan. So both Swedish knives, made in Sweden, made in Japan. But in my opinion, the only two knives I would really want or need if I didn't have any knives, along with obviously the, like kitchen knives and like a utility blade and a multi-tool. But other than those, if I could go over, and I have these other Moras, and I even have this Bark River Aurora Light in CPM 3V, but I would never need this. And I've gone through the Mora Garbergs I've mentioned. If I could pare it all down, and I could, if I didn't have any of these and I had to replace my knives, I'd just buy the Mora Companion, and every time I needed it in a different location, I just buy it again. And then same thing goes for this Falkniven F1. I just get this in COS, and then if I needed it in other locations, maybe get it in COS or VG10 based on how much or how I was using it. So these are the only two knives I would use and keep. I would not rebuy this Mora Aurora, even though I really like it. I'm not going to get rid of it. I would not rebuy this, even though it's discontinued. I wouldn't rebuy this Bark River Aurora and CPM 3V. Largely because everything I would use this for, I could use the Falkniven F1 for at like a fraction of the cost. This blade, the CPM 3V, does perform better, but for the cost and how well this already performs, and I just get this one. Yeah, so if I didn't have anything and I had to go over and buy everything again, I'd end up getting this Leatherman Wave, this Mora Companion, this Falkniven F1, Kershaw Leek, and the kitchen knives. This is a 6-inch chef knives made by Winco or Acero. Henkel's 3-inch paring knife, utility blade, X-Acto knife, Leatherman Micra, and this Victorinox, because I love this, and this is what I had. This is what I remember using as a kid. If I could go out, and these are the knives I would keep. Maybe this one as well. Maybe one of these small little Victorinoxes for $10. That's it. These are all the knives I would replace my knives with or keep. Quite a bit of knives, but they all serve different purposes. And anywhere I needed a knife, I'd probably just repurchase the same one of these. All right, thanks for watching.